Alright, I'm ready to go, so I'm gonna start a bit faster than I normally would. There's the game. And because I want to respond to people, hello, Johnny, I did sleep. I slept sort of intermittent, right, so for context, for anyone in case anyone's watching this later or watching it now and doesn't have context, I just got back from TwitchCon. Yay! I had fun, even, oof, there were some things that were handled, you know what, I don't really feel like spilling tea about TwitchCon. I felt like TwitchCon staff really kind of got on top of most of their mistakes and were doing a good job by the end. But anyway, I had a great time, and I am just back from that on an overnight flight. So I got in at 6 a.m. I slept extremely intermittently on the plane. I might have squeezed 3 or 4 hours out of the 6-hour flight. Hello, Ice Starmie! And I got home around 6:30 a.m. and then crashed for a good 4 hours. So I have gotten some sleep, but am a bit sleepy. I get sleepy this time of day when I haven't had a weird messed up con weekend scheduled. So if I yawn, please forgive me. I am mostly awake, alert enough to play the game. Oh right, and also, new haircut! This is the first time I'm debuting it on stream. So it's asymmetric. Fun asymmetric cut. I'm excited about it. Alright, and yes, also Tapao is in fact currently in my living room. So it will be fascinating to see how much stream lag there is from the literal same internet connection. Alright, so this chapter should be exciting. So last time, Lucette has finally gotten away from her horrible, abusive, manipulative mother. But things are, at a cost. At the cost of poor Garland. Which is just extra sad because I ship him and Jurian so much, and I'm so sad for Jurian. And oh my gosh, chapter 9 of Fritz Root is an important chapter with an important revelation. Nice. Oh, and thank you, Johnny. I'm glad you digged the swoopy hair. I enjoy swoopy hair, and yeah, this is the second time in my life I've done a sort of swoopy haircut. So it's been a really long time though. I did gosh, 10 years ago, maybe longer, 12 years ago, maybe 14 years ago. Anyway, that's starting to admit to my age, so let's not worry about that. Ignoring the age factor, so back when I was in college, I got it. It was actually even more dramatic. It was this short on this side, but down to here on this side, and it was pretty cool. I liked it, so I wanted to have short hair again, and I wanted to do something fun, so this is what I went with this time. Oh, 2011, Johnny? Okay, yeah, that's fair. I thought it was in college, but I think you're right. I think it was a little past college. Anyway, so chapter 9, right, Fritz's route. This is, oof, okay, so Lucette's away from her mother, but, Fritz is still, I mean, we've definitely heard that he's, we've gotten the impression that he's still kind of fighting. He's not gone. But Varg is pretty much 24/7 in control of the body. So we'll see how that goes, and Hildir and Mithros rule the palace, and Hildir is not happy about Lucette running off, and definitely, so now we are going to have to come to some kind of big face-off, I imagine, because Hildir's gonna want to destroy the Marchen, probably, and everyone in it, whereas the denizens of the Marchen are probably going to try and arrange an uprising, hence the thing where I think it was called Uprising. But we do not know how long this chapter is, so I should get started. Alright, so we're picking back up in the Marchen shortly after Lucette's escape. Chapter 9, Rebellion. Yes, so there's probably going to be a rebellion against Hildir. Because of the severity of Jurian's wounds, Rumpel decided he would bring her to the nearest clinic so she could be better cared for. Annis decided to go with him, and surprisingly, Ophelia and her children all opted to go as well. Oh, fair. T'Pau, not an uprising so much as an assassination. I mean, a rebellion that's the name of the chapter. That seems reasonable. And, like, I don't know that you could pinpoint assassinate Hildir, right? Like, I feel like they're going to need a show of force against her. Now, the only ones left here at the tavern are me, Delora, Waltz, and Karma. Lucette thinking to herself. They may not say it, but I'm sure they are blaming me for what is happening to Angel right now. I need to make things right. I close my eyes as a sudden bout of dizziness comes over me. Mother has always been the person that mattered most to me. I never questioned or disobeyed her because she was so important. Oh, precious, like, oh, Lucette, honey. That's how emotional manipulative emotional abuse works. They isolate you and make themselves the center, like the goal of a lot of emotionally manipulative, abusive people, especially controlling types, is to isolate their victim and become kind of the center of their world so that the victim is like entirely dependent on them. And like her mother succeeded 100% at that until being gone for a while. I think they need another witch or a few witches going together. Yeah, T'Pau. They have at least two because they've got, Delora. Oh, Waltz is still cursed, but last time he got uncursed, and it's unclear how because that's, probably spoiler for Waltz's route. So okay, here's the thing, T'Pau. Like, you were saying that it is Lucette's fault, like, for bringing her mother back to life, but like, she didn't understand. Nobody had told her about her mother. She had no idea in this route. She, like, all she knew was that her beloved mother, who had died years ago and who she mourned extremely much, was actually still alive, and she was told by Mithros that she could totally revive her, and she was like, okay. And she even, like, extracted a promise from Mithros to not hurt the royal family and her father. But, like... Well, okay, T'Pau, again, I kind of feel like, like, for example, I don't think Lucette would, like, if Lucette went on trial for this, I don't think she should be found guilty because she literally didn't know what she was doing. Like, in that she had no idea. She just thought she was getting her mother back. She didn't understand what her mother was. And it almost killed her. So, I am of the opinion that, like, the main people at fault here for everything and anything and everything that has gone badly, like, are Mithros and Hildir, who both manipulated Lucette excessively. And I mean, T'Pau, like, I would argue that Lucette is taking quite a bit of responsibility, more than she actually, like, has to. Like, I mean, I agree that it wouldn't be great if she just kind of, like, was like, nope, I'm just not dealing with this, taking some culpability for, like, yes, I didn't know what I was doing, but I revived my mother, so I'm going to help take her down, would be totally viable, but, like, I don't think she should be, like, beating herself up as much as she is. It's T'Pau. She's not being sad-faced that everyone is blaming her. She's being sad-faced thinking that she is at fault and assuming everyone is blaming her. Alright, well, agree to disagree. I feel like Lucette is actually just really beating herself up over being at fault for all of this in a way that is... And, like, if you look back here, like, her very first thought is... So, they may not say it, but I'm sure they're all blaming me. That's the first time she's had a thought that was specifically about other people, so much as this is all my fault. She's had the this is all my fault quite a bit last chapter. And so now she's thinking to herself that probably people are blaming her because, of course, it's her fault. And her first thought after that is, I need to make things right. So, like, I don't think that she's just moping. I think she's like, I'm totally at fault here. I'm sure everyone's mad at me. I need to do something about it. So I think that that's really a valuable thing, right? And there's also, like, an element here where I think I am being more sympathetic to Lucette about the situation with her mother, because, like, she is very much a lifelong victim of abuse. And, like, it was not easy for her to break out of that mentality, and so the fact that she was able to with her mother right there is kind of impressive. And, like, she is very much taking culpability, and, like, from the get-go, she has been like, I need to do something, I need to help. Like, in every route, Lucette has very much stepped forward to be like, I need to make things right. So I feel like that speaks to her character, and I think that is also why I am giving her a lot of credit in this route, for that, if that makes sense. And yeah, like, we have the whole story from having played all the previous routes, but this is actually the route in which Lucette had the least information. She had a lot of conflicting information and people lying to her and intentionally manipulating her. And even the people who were actually trying to help her were, like, lying to her and kind of manipulating her. So, like, it's a complicated situation, is I think what I'm saying. And I am very sympathetic to Lucette, but I do think it's great that she's like, okay, I fucked up, I contributed to the mess that is currently happening, I'm gonna do something about it. Yeah, to Pow, no one comes off super great here. Yeah, like, she wouldn't have run into Mithros' arms if the people of the March End had handled things better. Like, as Ice Starmie... Yeah, exactly, Ice Starmie. One of the main reasons why Lucette acted this way in this route is because the March End folks were too secretive. Like, in the previous routes, she has not been pulled away from the March End before they finally opened up and started being honest with her, but in this she was. Like, she barely spent any time there, and at every point that they had her back, they opted to stay silent instead of explain things to her. Anyway, so a lot of people I feel like a lot of people did Lucette dirty this route. And Lucette made some irresponsible choices, but they were mostly based on ignorance. And, you know, active manipulation. And yeah, exactly. Ice Starmie, I think, makes a great point. Like, they didn't tell her the story. She heard the stuff about her mother from myth. Like, that is not a great source to be hearing about the reality of her mother, because she's going to be getting an extremely distorted, biased in favor view. Anyway, so I do think a lot of people did Lucette dirty. She took some actions that have some major consequences, but she is, in my view, she seems completely prepared to, like, take action to, like, make things right. I mean, as she says right here. I close my eyes as a sudden bout of dizziness comes over me. Mother has always been the person that mattered most to me. I never questioned or disobeyed her because she was so important. Right, and I got to this point, and that was when I was talking about that as a tactic of abusers. Like, no one should actually be the center of your world to the total exclusion of everyone else. That's unhealthy, even if they aren't manipulating you into it. In this case, she was absolutely being manipulated into that. So, you know, just kind of Pingu's PSA corner, like, no one person should be your entire world. That's not healthy. She was my light in days that were often so dark. Lucette thinking to herself. But I have no choice. If Mother isn't stopped, who knows how many more lives will be lost? Out loud. The only way to stop Mother is to kill her, isn't it? Delora. I'm sorry, but this really is the only way. Lucette thinking to herself. Yes, I know. But I do not think I could kill her myself. And, like, that's fair. Like, Lucette should not, the burden of killing her own mother should not be on her. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, at this point, and I mean, I've definitely talked about how I'm of the opinion that it's just like, Hildir used to be a person, and she is no longer a person at this point. She is a entity that has been wholly consumed by the Tenebrarum. Like, whatever original personality she has been totally subsumed by that, by, like, you know, the hatred and the power of the Tenebrarum taking her over and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, there is just no coming back from that, and I agree with them here that, like, there's just not really another option to stop her. And she's also, like, too powerful to, like, try to lock up. Unless they could, like, lock her back in the Tenebrarum, but I'm sure that could cause a lot of problems that could just be solved by... yeah. So yeah, and again, I don't think Lucette should have the responsibility of killing her own mother. Delora has a knowing look in her eyes as she turns to address Waltz. Delora. We'll leave as soon as Parfait comes back from her meeting with the fairies. If you can fully use your magic, then we may actually stand a chance. Waltz. Silence. Lucette. Magic? What are you talking about? Waltz is just a street magician. What help could he be? Delora. Don't underestimate our magician. Waltz is a witch, and a lot stronger than he looks. Lucette. Waltz is a witch? Waltz. You know I have the Neverland curse. Lucette. Yes. Thinking to herself. I do not know that fairy tale, but what does that have to do with anything? Waltz. Your mother was the witch that cursed me. Lucette. What? But, Waltz, if you are also a witch, how can you be cursed? Waltz. Your mother is the Tenebrarum bearer, which means she has the power to punish all witches if she chooses. Delora. As to why he was cursed. Waltz's expression darkens. Waltz. Hildir needed to be stopped. I knew I couldn't defeat her alone, so I enlisted the help of the fairies. I betrayed her, and she punished me before she died. Delora. Waltz almost single-handedly brought about the end to the Great War. He's the reason we've been enjoying this peace for as long as we have. Lucette, thinking to herself. I never knew. Delora. Of course you can only imagine how displeased Hildir was with Waltz. Waltz. Oh, I see the Neverland curse. Yep, Peter Pan, shadows. Yep. Waltz. Hildir stole my shadow and sealed it away in Neverland. Lucette. Your shadow? Delora. We really need to work on your fairy tale knowledge one of these days, princess. Peter Pan is a boy that lives in Neverland, which is a place where children never grow up. Waltz's curse means he has been frozen in a child's body since Hildir cursed him all those years ago. He can't grow up, and he can't use any magic. Waltz. Well, I can still do some spells, but only simple, harmless ones. Delora. For Waltz to get his magic back, he needs to find Tinkerbell, which is the key to Neverland. We need to unlock his shadow. Lucette. But all this time you've never found Tinkerbell or Neverland? Waltz. I've looked everywhere I can think of. I'm sure she cast a spell on it to make it more difficult to locate. Lucette. Even in the palace? Oh, I wonder if that's what her box from the last time was. I thought it might be the Tenebrarum crystal, but they never confirmed or denied that, so I'm now thinking, like, so last route, in Rumpel's route, she ended up in the palace. Wait, was it in Rumpel's route? Okay. At some point, she ended up in the palace, and she found a box that was, like, she had been told to keep it safe. And I'm wondering if that box it sounds like Tinkerbell is an object here, so I guess we'll find out. Delora snorts, and I suddenly feel embarrassed. Delora. Oh, of course not. Why would Waltz look in the palace first? I mean, especially considering Hildir is the queen and has numerous secret chambers for things she wants to keep hidden. Lucette. Looking through the entirety of the palace for a small box might be difficult. Waltz. Neverland is a box that was left to me by my parents. It's made of gold with carvings that resemble a pair of wings. Yes, yes, Lucette. Because last time Waltz... No, it was last route, because she ran into Waltz in the palace, and he was adult mode because he had found the box in her room, probably. Yeah. Ice Starmie confirms it was Rumple's route in which Waltz broke his curse off-screen. Because last route she ended up being kidnapped to the palace, so she actually was in the palace for a while. Or maybe she gave herself up or something like that. I can't totally remember, but it was definitely like she was on the side of the Marchen and she got unwillingly taken to the palace. Lucette. What? Waltz jumps at my sudden reaction. Delora. Princess? Lucette, thinking to herself. That box. I had forgotten about it, but I can vaguely remember an old box in my room that matches that description. Out loud. Mother left me a trinket box and a key that matched that description. She told me never to touch the box or to let anyone see it. I've had it for years. Waltz. All this time, Tinkerbell and Neverland were with you? Oh my gosh, that's going to be so frustrating in the next route. Like, there's going to be so many, like, I mean, I guess we'll find out. I hope that we get to break Waltz's curse early on next route, because otherwise we're going to just spend the entirety of Waltz's route being like, but the box, it's right there. Oh. Lucette. I never knew what was inside. I was too afraid to disobey Mother's orders. Waltz. The thought of her giving you that box never even crossed my mind, but now, thinking back on it, it makes sense. I want to ask him what he means, but we are running out of time. Lucette, thinking to herself. I will have to ask him about it at a later time. Out loud. I can get Neverland and Tinkerbell to you. I can return your magic. Delora. With Waltz back to his true form, we may have a fighting chance at this. Lucette. So, what do we do first? Alright, so... I'm also just thinking... I also just want to comment on, like, definitely there have been a lot of routes that have sort of hinted at Waltz and Lucette absolutely knew each other, and probably Lucette's memory was, you know, we know Lucette's memory has been, like, Swiss cheesed by her mother, so she has just been made to forget everything she ever knew about Waltz, so whatever makes it make sense that she has the box. Yeah, Tapao, I agree. I think there's a good chance that he wrote the notes to her on her birthday. But yeah, so, you know, that could have been part of the punishment, I suppose. Taking away all of Lucette's memories of Waltz, and because if we assume that, I think Waltz and Lucette are actually pretty close in age, so they would have kind of grown up together, and Waltz was one of Hildir's apprentices, so she actually would have known him growing up, probably. So I guess they are probably amnesia, like, childhood friends, but Lucette has been amnesiac of that. So that'll be really interesting in Waltz's route, but I'm sure that we won't actually get into that in this route, because this is Fritz's route, not Waltz's. And next one route is Waltz's. The most spoilerific of them all. Alright, so, Delora. We? There's no we in this, Lucette. Only us. Lucette. But I just said I could help. Waltz. It's too dangerous, Princess. Lucette. But I am the only one who knows where to find the box. Delora. Then you'll tell us where it is and we'll retrieve it. It's as simple as that. I scowl at her with my arms crossed. Lucette. I refuse to stay here and be useless while everyone else puts themselves at risk saving Angiel. Angiel is this way because I brought back Mother. I must take responsibility. And I would once again argue to Pao the stuff you were saying earlier, like, absolutely Lucette is taking responsibility in every other route she has, so there was no reason to doubt she would this way. Oh, you know what? Fair. Okay, to Pao. unhappy she wasn't doing enough, but also thinks she will be useless. So I guess that there is no win scenario here. If he was a powerful witch, and witches become... That's fair, but we also know for a fact that Rumpel is the oldest love interest, and he's 24. Fair enough to Pow, you're just thinking she will be a liability, which she might be, but, like, it was just funny, because I was, like, excited to be like, here she is taking responsibility for her actions, just like you said you wanted her to, and then you were, like, had a different concern. Oh, thank you, Ice Starmie. Okay, so Ice Starmie says Waltz is a pureblood witch, so he's had magic ever since he was a child, whereas Lucettes' magic hasn't been unlocked yet because she's only half witch. Like, she's half human, half witch. Anyway, so Lucette says, Angiel is this way because I brought back Mother and must take responsibility, and I will not let anyone else die at Mother's hands. Delora. Lucette. Mother is less likely to harm me. I have a better chance of getting Neverland and Tinkerbell without causing a disturbance. And I do, to be fair, I do think she makes a very good point there. Like, her mother is much less likely to physically harm her. I mean, emotional harm all the day long, but, like, she's much more likely to get out physically unscathed than literally anyone else. Delora. How can you say that after what's already happened? You're not safe either, Lucette. No sooner has she said the words that a terrible blast echoes through the Marchen. I cough as smoke envelops the tavern. A silhouette emerges in front of us, and I feel my blood turn cold when I realize who it is. Lucette, thinking to herself. Varg. Just when I thought I was safe, Varg reappears. Varg. Oops! I always forget how powerful this thing can get. Where previously there had been a wall made of stone, sturdy and strong, there is now a sizable hole. Remnants of brick and stone collapse inward in the aftermath. The dust rises to settle around Varg's feet, where he stands casually twirling his cane. Varg. I hope I'm not disturbing anything, but all the doors were locked. Waltz. Karma! Lucette, thinking to herself. Karma? Delora and I turn to glance at the wall behind us, where Waltz is looking. Karma is standing there, injured. His forehead has a large gash, and one of his arms is limp and useless. He still manages to tightly grip the hilt of his sword with his other hand. Lucette, thinking to herself. Where did Karma come from? It is interesting because Lucette here doesn't know that Karma is absolutely a genius with the sword. But we do, so it's like, of course Karma is there. He was guarding since Jurian and Garland. Neither Jurian nor Garland were fit for duty, one being injured, the other being tragically deceased. Alright, Oh, Ice Starmie also makes a good point. No matter if she's a liability or not, the protagonist can't just reject the call to adventure. And is also the point of view character, so it would be pretty boring if she were left behind. Yeah, no, the big dramatic finale happens and Lucette's just sitting waiting for them in the Marchen. Tea and hot chocolate simulator. Alright. Karma. I would have appreciated you destroying less property when you knocked on a tavern door. Varg. And I would have appreciated it if you'd gotten out of my way when I asked politely, so I wouldn't have had to resort to explosions. Seems both of us are disappointed. Waltz. What do you want, Varg? Varg. Don't we all already know the answer to that question? Come on. Varg turns to look at me expectantly. I thought the stolen goods would be brought here. Lucette. What did you just call me? Karma lets out a harsh laugh. Karma. Has no one told you that women do not like being imprisoned against their will? Varg. Has no one told you people that it's not good to steal? Lucette. I am not an item to be stolen or imprisoned. I ball my hands into fists. I cannot let Varg hurt anyone here. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have no idea if this will work. But if Fritz is truly fighting, then he must be able to hear my voice. Lucette. Fritz. Varg growls, his eyes bright and angry as he glares at me. Varg. You need to give up on him, princess. Lucette. Never. Fritz, I know you're still there. Varg. No matter what you say, nothing will change. Fritz is gone. Lucette. Adiuva! Varg. He won't! Varg chokes on his words and doubles over. Varg. You are being very annoying! Lucette, thinking to herself. Did it work? Out of the corner of my eye, I notice Karma preparing to attack while Varg is momentarily weakened. But something does not feel right. Lucette. Karma, stop! Karma. What? Varg. Get the princess away from here! Karma. What's happening? Lucette, thinking to herself. That voice. Out loud. Fritz! Despite the fact that it is Varg standing before me, it is most certainly Fritz looking at me through those eyes. Fritz. Please. I don't know how long I can hold him here. You all need to get out of here while you still can. You need to keep the princess safe. Keep her away from the palace. Delora. Waltz, get her out of here now. Lucette. No! I dodge Waltz's reaching hands as I attempt to run towards Fritz. Fritz. Keep her safe. Please. Karma. Now! Lucette. No! Don't hurt him! Karma runs forward, his sword raised, just as Waltz grabs my hand and pulls me out of the way. Lucette. No! Time slows as I watch Varg slowly come back to coherence. His lips curl into a snarl as he begins to bring his cane down to the floor. Delora throws her hand out, the collected light racing towards Varg. Varg stumbles back, his cane never hitting the floor. Varg growls as he glares up at Delora. Varg. Witches are so inconvenient! Karma. Unfortunately, Delora is not the only inconvenience in this room. Varg raises his cane to block Karma's next swing. Varg. Tch! Waltz grips my hand and tugs. Waltz. We have to go, princess! I glance back at Karma and Delora. Lucette, thinking to herself. There must be something I can do! Alright, so choice time. I want her to stay and help them because I think we need to get Fritz back. We need him to mentally overpower Varg, and the best way to put, like, if Lucette just runs away and is safe, then he won't have a reason to keep fighting. But if Lucette interferes and is in the way, then Fritz will have a compelling reason to try and keep fighting. So that's my theory, and that's why I'm going to choose to help them. My eyes drift towards Varg's cane. Lucette, thinking to herself. That cane is the source of his magic. If I can get it away from him, then Delora and Karma will stand a chance. With renewed determination, I run towards Varg. Waltz. Princess! I barrel past Karma and hit Varg square in the gut with my shoulder, forcing him backwards into the ground. I manage to twist the cane away from him and clutch it as Varg rises and begins to advance towards me. Varg. No time for games! Give it back! Lucette. No. Delora. You really are nothing without your cane, aren't you? For a moment there is only silence as Varg freezes. I cannot read the expression on his face. Lucette, thinking to herself. What is he thinking? Varg breaks the silence when he bursts out laughing. It is a sound that heralds certain chaos. Yeah, I was about to say, that's probably not a good sign. Varg. The cane is not my only weapon. I watch as Varg slips a dagger out from his sleeve. Karma. And what are you going to do with that little thing? Poke me? Oh, okay, so Takao was saying, I figure she can get it next route, but Karma may die. And then Ice Starmie is pointing out as a reverse of Karma's route, since Fritz was murdered in Karma's route. I mean, which, you know, fair is fair. I was pretty upset when Fritz died in Karma's route, although it certainly does speak to him, like, you know, in that route he must have overpowered Varg. And then he died. It was tragic, so. But we already had one death, so I'm kind of hoping that Garland will be the only casualty. But, you know, I guess I'm not going to hold my breath. The only person who I will be absolutely devastated this route if they die is Delora, because, like, this is by far the best relationship Lucette and Delora have had in any route, and Ice Starmie has confirmed it is the best Delora in all the routes, so. Oh, I'll be so mad if then she dies. Varg. Who said anything about you? Oh my. With a oh god. Oh no. Oh, that fucking asshole. Oh. Oh. Oh no, he didn't. Oh. With a smirk, Varg brings the dagger to his neck. Varg. This dagger is more than enough to do some damage to the princess's favorite knight. Lucette. No! Karma. Now that is definitely cheating. Delora. This is ridiculous! You share a body, you'll end up hurting yourself as well. Varg shrugs, and I cannot tell if he is really unconcerned or pretending to be. Varg. I'll do whatever it takes. Varg smiles at me. In this light, his teeth appear to be gleaming and sharp, like he has fangs. Varg. Now give me back my cane and do precisely as I tell you, or the boy dies. Oh, fair enough, Ice Starmie. In this CG, you can finally see Fritz and Varg. Yeah, I mean, there's same hairstyle, same eye color, so, but yeah, no, he... Oh boy. Oh, I'm so bad about this, though. Holding your body mate hostage just seems incredibly rude. I stand still. I cannot look away from Varg's gaze, which is bright with triumph. Delora. If Fritz dies, you die as well. Are you not afraid of death? Varg. I was never really alive to begin with. I'm just a bit of Fritz's mind given independence. This body isn't mine, so I can destroy it and not feel a thing. It will be Fritz that suffers. Waltz. Princess, don't listen to him. You know it's a trap. I know Waltz is telling the truth. I can see it in the look on Varg's face. I grip the cane tighter to me. Lucette thinking to herself. Varg is lying to me. He will definitely suffer, but he is also serious about hurting Fritz. And I cannot let that happen. Yes, okay, I feel like that was a fairly obvious right choice, but I am glad to have gotten the confirmation. Varg. Now do as you're told, little princess. Delora. Don't be stupid, Lucette! Lucette. You'll leave everyone here alone. Varg nods, amusement flickering in his eyes. Varg. As my princess commands. Waltz. Princess, don't! Lucette thinking to herself. I am so sorry. But just as I start to move towards Varg, a bright light shines out from behind me. The shield of light pushes forward and past me, shoving Varg back and out through the hole he'd made in the wall. Guessing Parfait just got back. I turn, barely able to believe what I see. Lucette. Parfait! She comes to stand in front of me. Parfait. Listen closely. We don't have much time.
Parfai's eyes flicker to Varg, who is shifting ever so slightly in the rubble. Even I can tell he is only temporarily out of commission. Parfait. Tomorrow, midnight. Meet us at the palace gates. Bring Neverland and Tinkerbell with you. Lucette. But you... Parfait. Do you understand? I falter as I imagine what Parfait could possibly be planning, but I have no time as I can read nothing in her gaze. There is nothing else for me to do but nod in understanding. Man, I'm proud of Parfait! Like, this is the first time I've really seen her, like, stand up and, like, make a definitive move. Like, alright, this is what you're doing, we've got a plan. Like, good for her. You be active, not passive, Parfait. Lucette. Yes, I understand. Parfait smiles at me as she caresses my cheek with a gentle hand. Parfait. I have faith in you, princess. We all do. You'll be fine. Lucette. Parfait! Parfait grabs me by the shoulders and forcibly pushes me towards Varg. Varg. Shocked. He catches me, his hands firmly gripping my shoulders as I am careened into him. Parfait. Keep her safe, Fritz. Aw, I like that. I like that. Parfait directly addressing Fritz. Like that's a really good way of being like, keep fighting, Fritz. Keep her safe. Like, oh man, yeah, Ice Stormy. Parfait had to take an active role in at least one, right? Yup. Oh man, you know what? I just realized that it's like October and my Stream Elements bot does not have a subscription to my site. Or not my site, my channel. And I should have done that in September! Curses! Alright, but I won't worry about that because we're focusing on the story. Varg flinches. He is inhaling and getting ready to speak when the air around us suddenly thins and we are swallowed by light. When I am able to breathe again, I open my eyes and see that I am back at the palace. Lucette, thinking to herself, did Parfait transport us? I become aware that Varg still has his hands on my shoulders, and I wrench free from his grip. Varg. Strange that your friends would actually send you back here with me. Lucette. Silence. Varg. Seems like they need you to retrieve something from the palace. Varg reaches out and snatches his cane from my hands. You know, there's one thing I'm just like, you know what, before you push, like, is there really a reason why Lucette couldn't have just tossed the cane the opposite direction while Parfait was, like, pushing her towards Varg? Or Parfait couldn't have taken the cane? Plot. Plot is the reason, but whatever. Varg reaches out and snatches his cane from my hands. Oh, and also Ice Starmie does make a point. Parfait is says that Parfait is also kind of takes an active role in Waltz's route, but, like, she really is passive most of the time. Yeah, I mean, I can see Lucette not thinking of it in the panic of the moment, but, like, somebody in the Marchen should have thought to be like, hey, the cane! But nope, oh well. Again, I'm gonna just chalk that one up as plot. Varg. I'm not letting you leave the palace again, princess. The palace is eerily silent, and it is as if none of the chaos that just transpired ever happened. Like it was all a dream. I ignore Varg and walk back through the gates as I suffocate the seething turmoil inside of me. Lucette, thinking to herself, just try and stop me. I slam my bedroom door behind me and lock it. Lucette, thinking to herself, it's only been a few hours since I was here. Since Jurian and Garland. I close my eyes and will the memories away. Lucette, thinking to herself, now is not the time. I must keep my promise to Parfait. I begin to search through my drawers. Lucette, thinking to herself, I could have sworn that this was the last place I saw Neverland and Tinkerbell. There it is. Tinkerbell, an elaborate golden key, is exactly where I remember leaving it. I place it carefully underneath my lamp so as to keep it hidden from sight. Lucette, thinking to herself, but where's Neverland? I nearly turn my room upside down looking for it, but I never find the golden box. Lucette, thinking to herself,
It should be here. Why isn't it here? My body is heavy after all that happened today, and I soon find myself collapse on my bed. Lucette thinking to herself. It will be fine. I have until midnight tomorrow to find it. I'll continue looking in the morning.
Yeah, I'm guessing Lucette's mother grabbed that as soon as Lucette left the palace with people from the Marchen.
My sleep is broken and disjointed, so when dawn comes filtering through my windows, I am already half awake.
Man, though, I know it's for dramatically different reasons, but I'm just like, broken sleep and collapsing on your bed? Relatable. Yeah, Ice Star me, clearly. Hildir is not stupid, yeah.
I pull myself out of bed and rub at my eyes. Lucette thinking to herself, I need to find Neverland. I retrieve Tinkerbell from where I'd hidden it and slip the key into my pocket. Then, with renewed determination, I continue my search. Lucette thinking to herself, why isn't it here? It had been right next to Tinkerbell. I feel I would have remembered had I moved it. Lucette thinking to herself, but I did drop Neverland months ago, didn't I? I'd been meaning to get it fixed, but I always forgot. Lucette thinking to herself, but it's not here. That means someone must have taken it. But who? Would Mother or Mithros have taken it? Where should I look?
Oh gosh, I have to just guess. I'm thinking her mother would probably want to make a statement, but the thing is, the throne room and the dining hall both make statements. Like, the dining hall entices Lucette to come and sit down for a nice breakfast, whereas the throne room is more of like Hildir pulling a power play. So, power play or emotional manipulation? Oh, you know, I'm gonna try the dining hall because I could totally see the emotional manipulation angle. But I saved right. Yes, so we'll find out. We're gonna try the dining hall.
Lucette thinking to herself, it would be easy to hide a box like Neverland among the things in the dining hall.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was wrong. It might be that there's no one in either place.
There is no one in the dining hall when I enter. Lucette thinking to herself, no one eats here anymore, not since Ophelia, Rod, and Emily left. It looks empty without them. I drag my eyes away from the large dining table.
Oh, I wonder if she and her mother were taking meals in a different room then.
Lucette thinking to herself, where do I even begin to look for Neverland? Maybe I should start with where the cutlery is kept. But after almost half an hour of searching, I still have not located the box. Lucette thinking to herself, I have gone through every drawer and cupboard here, but I haven't found anything remotely close to looking like Neverland. I should look somewhere else. If Mother took Neverland, it would make sense that she'd want to keep it in sight.
Okay, that feels pretty obviously incorrect. Since she is now gone to the throne room, I'm gonna go back and just load it from the throne room. From here and choose the throne room instead. Yeah, which also does make sense. Like, that's where Hildir is most likely to be. Like, you know, that's the power play angle.
Thankfully, when I get to the throne room, it is empty. Lucette thinking to herself, but where do I even begin to look? Out of the corner of my eye, I notice something sparkle from the throne. I rush towards the throne and am unable to believe my dumb luck.
There it is.
The box is definitely there, sitting right in front of me.
That means it is definitely a trap. T'Pau, maybe the time spent looking is useful. That's fair. We'll see. You know, I'll get a right choice indicator or I won't.
Lucette thinking to herself, I found it! But why is it just sitting here? Something feels off.
Hildir,
if it isn't my disobedient daughter.
Lucette, shocked.
I reach out and snatch Neverland to hold it to my chest.
Yes, okay, going straight to the throne room is apparently the best idea. Ice Star me. It's a bit strange, but I take it that Lucette decided to have meals in her own room. As for Hildir, in the prologue, Lucette made a comment about her parents never had meals with her, so Hildir probably doesn't have meals with Lucette. Except she did that one time when she was first back for the first time, but that may have just been to, like, be like, it's our reunion meal. And then just hasn't since then. Lucette thinking to herself. So you know what? It might be, this was a trap for Lucette. So checking the throne room first was correct, because that way she actually springs it and there's no chance for someone to just change their mind about it. I don't know. Or it's just correct because she guessed correctly. I have no idea why it's the right choice other than that's where the box was. Lucette thinking to herself, I have to keep Neverland and Tinkerbell safe, no matter what. Hildir, I'm glad to see one of my servants is capable. Still, I wonder why Varg did not report his success in retrieving you. Lucette thinking to herself, Varg did not tell her? Hildir, I shall have a word with that cur. Mother walks towards me. I was not amused when you left the palace, Lucette, but I thought that sooner or later Faye would send you here to retrieve something. You were a very good girl for keeping that box safe as I told you to. But I see it was a mistake to leave it here while I was attending to Mithros' reports. That's why it's the right choice, because Hildir was distracted, and Lucette just happened, and she didn't know Lucette was back yet, so she just happened to leave it out. And so Lucette it actually is dumb luck if Lucette gets to the throne room first, because if she checks the dining room first, Hildir has time to hide it better. Ah, yes. Okay, cool. That all makes sense. Hildir. Like, the fact that this was not Hildir's plan is what I didn't know for sure until this moment. You see, it was a mistake to leave it here while I was attending to Mithros' reports. I clutch Neverland tighter. Lucette. This does not belong to you. Mother's voice is ice cold when she speaks. Hildir. Oh? You hurt me so much last night. I hope you're not planning on leaving me again. Lucette. Silence. Hildir. I know you're hurting too, dearest one. I know you want to stay here with me. Immediately into the emotional manipulation. Did I mention content warning for an extremely abusive and emotionally manipulative parent? And by, I don't actually mean, that's a totally the sarcastic thumbs up, like, this is terrible. Hildir is terrible. Mother sighs, and suddenly I can see the mother from my memories. The one that had held me close and sung me to sleep at night. Hildir. If Faye hadn't interfered, you would be so much happier. Lucette. Faye? Hildir. Once upon a time, she was a dear friend. We were like sisters, until she betrayed me. She is no doubt going by a different name to hide her true nature from you. Oh, you know what? Actually, I was vaguely thinking that, you know, in this time I'm just screaming, just open the box, Lucette, don't lose time, open this box. Yeah, they literally told her that it's, like, trapped inside the box, and you need the key to open it. So, like, there's no reason to think that if she opened it now that the shadow wouldn't be able to just kind of shoot over to where Waltz is. I mean, maybe she is worried that he needs to be there in person for it, but, like, yeah, no, there was a strong, when she first picked it up, I was like, so you have the key, you have the box, is there a reason to not just open it right now? Anyway, Hildir. She is no doubt going by a different name to hide her true nature from you. Okay, so Parfait's actual name is just Faye. Hildir. But you know now. You know that she is pulling you from your birthright. You were happier when you could not remember, weren't you? Oh, is this where Lucette finally finds out that she's been gaslit heavily her whole life? Lucette. What? Hildir. Oh, my darling. Mother reaches for me, and I cannot move as she sets a hand on my cheek. Hildir. I have only ever wanted to protect you, Lucette. I have only ever wanted the best for you. Mother gently runs a hand through my hair. Hildir. I sacrificed so much so that my daughter could be a crown princess. I did not want to erase your memories, but I knew how much it would hurt you if you knew my true nature. And I knew how sad you would be if you knew just how much your father did not love us. Either of us. And all because of his ridiculous love for that wretched harlot and her whelps. The very same commoner he married after I was gone, the woman he sought to marry from the start. Lucette, thinking to herself, Ophelia? The king has loved Ophelia for so long? Hildir. Isn't that unbelievable that he was still so loyal to her even after he had me? I should have made good on my threat and just killed her regardless. I should have made good on my threat and just killed her regardless of whether Gennaro did as I demanded. But he has always hated witches. That is why he would... Having trouble with the Hildir voice. To be fair to Hildir, I do agree that Faye really betrayed Hildir when she allowed Grimm to publish those fairy tales, even though Hildir had warned her that the tales were bad for witches. Oh, I did not know that. Oh, okay. So before Hildir got all consumed, we've talked a lot about Hildir was just a person before everything went to shit and she got totally subsumed by the crystal. And before all that went down, apparently, when the fairy tales were coming out, she was like, hey, Faye, this seems like it's really bad. And Faye was just like, I'm sure it's fine. And then cue witch hunts? Yeah, wow, Starmie, no wonder you don't like Faye. Anyway, Hildir. But he... Okay, sorry. I accidentally used the mouse scroll and it was going forward and backwards. I should have made good on my threat and just killed her, regardless of whether Gennaro did as I demanded. But he has always hated witches. That is why he is so cruel to you. Why he was so cruel to both of us. Dearest one, we only have each other. So it was, and so it will be. I am the only one that will never hurt you. The only one you ever need to love and obey. Yeah, Hildir, same tricks as always, but this one's not going to work unless you erase her memory again, which I have concerns about. Oh, yep, she is about to do just that. Oh, again, content warning, extremely emotionally manipulative and gaslighty parent. Yes, no, that's fine, Starmie. It's Starmie. That's a totally mild spoiler that is honestly just kind of good to know. Yikes. Makes me totally understand why you dislike Faye so much. Hildir. Your longing for anyone else, your memories of anyone else, they are all unnecessary. Now be a good girl and listen to Mother. Oof, alright. So, refuse, I'm not sure that'll work. I don't know that, okay, so here's the question. It's either Lucette refuses and then finds, her birthday has happened. She also has witch powers, so it's possible that if she just stands firm and goes no, she will be able to resist Hildir's magic. On the other hand, Hildir has the entire power of the Tenebrarum, so it may just be better to, GTFO and get away from Hildir before she can actually use the spell. Oh gosh, that's actually a hard call. I mean, I don't think running will work, but I am just okay, at the very least, running would distract Hildir and might distract her long enough that she can't pull off the spell before Lucette gets away. And refuse... Okay, fair enough. I mean, they both show resistance, is my argument. They both seem like things where it's if she runs, she's hell no. That's a very verbal, a very non-verbal hell no. If she refuses, she's probably just going to get stuck there and memory erased anyway, but there was this, maybe she will unlock the hidden power inside herself. So, yeah, okay, so Ice Stormy, it sounds like you were suggesting refusing. So, and I do like the idea that, like, you know, it is a combination of kind of starting to get across to Hildir that her old tricks aren't really gonna work anymore, and also, like, maybe she will unlock the hidden power within herself. Let's find out. I flinch away from Mother's reaching hand. Lucette thinking to herself. Mother hurt the king. She hurt so many people. She killed Garland. Out loud. No. Hildir. What did you say to me? Lucette thinking to herself. I cannot let her hurt anyone else. Okay, that was the right choice, yep. And that's fair, Ice Stormy. Like, as I'm watching this unfold, it's like, oh, this is the first time in her entire life she has ever made a conscious, by herself stand against her mother, and actually that's kind of a big deal. Like, confronting her mother and just saying no. Like, no, I'm not gonna let you do this to me anymore. Is... Now, Pingu PSA corner, that's not always safe to do, but if it is safe to do and you can, like, get away afterwards, it can sometimes be really good. Just, you know, don't just go along with things that are bad for you. It is definitely always okay and encouraged to say no. But also, if you are in a dangerous situation like this, get out, however, and as fast and however you safely can. Like, this is ridiculously toxic. So anyway, in this case though, like, Lucette is poised to break, like, Lucette is honestly in a lot of danger doing this, but like, I do like that she's breaking out of the toxic behaviors and being like, no, I'm not gonna, like, you know, I'm not gonna let you do this anymore. Lucette. No. Mother's eyes glitter as light begins to collect in her palm. Hildir. I can only bear your disobedience for so long, Lucette. It seems you require disciplining. Mother raises her hands, the light reflecting in the cruelty in her gaze that I am now too familiar with. Knowing I couldn't outrun her, I turn my back and hold Neverland to my chest. Lucette thinking to herself, I must protect Neverland. The air crackles, and I brace myself for whatever Mother might unleash. I feel a hand on my back, and then I am pushed away. I fall down on the ground hard. Lucette thinking to herself, what was that? Oh, they've already broken in. Okay. Hildir, you. Delora, did you miss me? Lucette, Delora. Hildir, how did you get in here? Delora, I had some help. Fritz! Yay! Aw! Yay, Fritz! Fritz, Princess! Lucette, Fritz? Fritz runs towards me and holds out his hand to help me up. Lucette, Fritz! I thought I'd lost you! It is only for a second, but he pulls me close to him in a hug. Fritz, I would never leave you. Fritz's arms tighten around me briefly before he releases me. We both turn to face Mother. Fritz, you were going to hurt her! Your own daughter! Hildir, this is no concern of yours, and even if it was, what could you hope to achieve? You are so much weaker than the wolf, so much weaker than Varg. Fritz's body stiffens. Hildir, even now you only cling to a shred of control. Tell me, Sir Fitzgerald, how much longer until you are completely erased? Fritz. Silence. Delora. He was strong enough to resist Varg, so much so that he was able to get me in here, past your guards and your barriers. I think that makes Fritz plenty strong. Hildir, I do not recall giving the traitor permission to speak. Yes! Ice Stormy, I agree so much. Fritz does need some screen time since it's been Varg so much of this route. oh, like, even, like, the past 2 chapters, like, CGs have been of Bark, and I'm like, but I want Fritz. Hildir, do not think I've forgotten how you betrayed me, Delora. Delora, I haven't forgotten anything either, Hildir. Lorea was only a child. Oh, shit. Oh, this sounds big, Ice Starmie. I know the whole thing was that Hildir killed a human, and that seems to have been the act that pushed her from existing as a person to existing as a monster, essentially. And the act that, like, people couldn't forgive her for, but also probably the act that made the Tenebrarum consume her soul, essentially, at least from my interpretation. And apparently, I had thought maybe it was killing the guy who wrote the fairy tales, but no. Apparently it was killing a child. I wonder if she was, like, maybe the child of the guy who wrote the fairy tales, and it was, like, a revenge thing, but that's messed if that's the case. Delora, Lorea was only a child. Hildir, her fate was entirely your doing. Lucette, who are you talking about? Oh, shit! Okay, that's... Ooh. Sorry, I need a moment to process that, but let me read it out loud in case anyone's just following along by voice. Delora, Lorea was my daughter. Shit. Shit. That's a lot. I'm sorry, I need a second to process that, like... Because I'm pretty sure that what is being said here is that Delora had a daughter named Lorea, who was a child, and Hildir killed her. That's, I mean, they haven't confirmed, but we know from a different route that Hildir killed a human, or a person. Maybe it was a human, but I don't know. Maybe it was just maybe Lorea is half. Was. But yeah, no, the build-up here, we know Hildir killed someone. Yeah, okay, Ice Starmie's confirming, which is good, because I still need processing time, and we haven't even gotten to the full... I already need to process, and we haven't technically gotten to the full reveal, so thank you, Ice Starmie, for absolutely confirming. That's who Hildir killed. Delora's daughter. That's really yikes. And yeah, no, that's... I cannot imagine there will be anything that will change my mind. That is the moment that Hildir irrevocably became a monster. And, like, I absolutely believe that. I still believe the Tenebrarum essentially ate her soul, but... Oof. Alright. Jesus, though. Okay, I'm gonna try... Now that I've had a little bit of processing time, I'm gonna go back. From just after they were talking about Fritz. Ah! Oh, yeah, Ice Starmie makes a really good point. Hildir didn't just kill one person. Okay, but, like, damn. Okay, Hildir, yeah, she must have killed a person. Maybe it was the fairy tale guy first, and then once she killed someone, it unlocked the, okay, now I'm just a monstrous. I have lost my mortal soul. And am just a monster that is left behind in the shell of a person. And again, I get what drove her there, but at some point, Tenebrarum made her soul, and I'm absolutely convinced of that, and that is the biggest reason she has become a completely irredeemable monster. And definitely Faye has some culpability for that, for just being, like, totally ignoring the warnings of this is going to be really, really, really bad. And it was really, really, really bad, and then she lost one of her closest friends to hatred and anger and darkness crystals. Anyway, right, okay, sorry. So I had to, that was a huge amount of oh shit to process, and I needed to kind of do some verbal processing and verbal distress. Like, all of that rambling and not getting back to the story is ultimately comes down to me processing that, because it's a lot. So, yes, so we're gonna go from just after they stop talking about Fritz, from here, and I'm going to try and read straight through without interrupting again, so that I can kind of get the emotional weight of it that I sort of skipped the first time here. Whew. And also, Starmie says that, won't confirm who the first human is that she killed, because that's a spoiler for next route, but the identity of that human will be confirmed in Waltz's route. But that's just the first person she killed, so. So yeah, okay, so she may already have been in, like, irredeemable monstrous mode when she killed this child, but, like, it's still fucking messed. Alright, like I said, okay. Gonna preserve the emotional integrity from here out, but I needed some me time to process that. Okay. Hildir. I do not recall giving the traitor permission to speak. Do not think I've forgotten how you betrayed me, Delora. Delora. I haven't forgotten anything either, Hildir. Lorea was only a child. Hildir. Her fate was entirely your doing. Lucette. Who are you talking about? Delora. Lorea was my daughter. Lucette, shocked. Thinking to herself, I've never heard Delora speak of a child. Delora. I'd always opposed Hildir's actions. I disagreed with her creation of the fairy tale curse from the beginning. But when I voiced my opinions out loud, she targeted my daughter. She killed her in front of me. Suddenly everything in the room is still. The two women glare at each other, but neither one of them moves. Hildir. You were not there when our kind were being hunted and slaughtered like animals in their own homes. I am the Tenebrarum bearer. I felt each of their deaths like they were my own. Retribution was necessary, but you being so holy and so good, it took little Lorea's death for you to understand the anguish of our brethren, to comprehend my anguish. I would not have killed her if you were not so blind. Delora. She was only 10! Hildir. And she suffered for your weakness. Delora holds out her arm and sweeps it across the room, lightning traveling up her arm. Fritz tugs me around one of the columns and then presses my back into the coolness of the pillar. He holds himself against me, acting as a shield. Fritz. Don't move. The ground shakes as Delora releases her spell. Hildir. You think you can defeat me when you haven't even been training? How foolish. Delora. Please, I have no intention of defeating you. Delora. Fritz! Fritz. Cover your ears, princess! Too confused to question him, I obey. I hear the sound of lightning crackling in the air, followed by an explosion. The column comes crashing down into the other side of the room. Delora. Time to go! Fritz's hand tightens around mine. We run out of the throne room with Delora as Mother's screech sounds through the room behind us. Fritz. Are you okay? Lucette. Yes, I'm alright. I'm just so glad you're here. Fritz. Shocked. Delora. See, what did I tell you? Lucette. What are you talking about? Delora. Your knight here was so scared you wouldn't want to see him anymore after what happened yesterday. Fritz's fingers tighten over my own. Fritz. If only I was strong enough to fight Varg, I could have... Lucette. It wasn't your fault, Fritz. Fritz. But... Lucette. What matters is that you are here now. Fritz looks at me and smiles. Lucette. How did you know where I would be? Delora. Intuition. Fritz. And magic. Delora. Well, yes, and magic. Do you have Tinkerbell? I hold Neverland in one hand as I reach with my other to search for the key in my pocket. Thankfully, my fingers still brush against the cool metal. Lucette. It's in my pocket. Delora. Good. Very good. Whatever happens, you must get Neverland and Tinkerbell to the Marchen, okay? I nod my head. Delora. That's a good girl. You know, knowing what I now know about, like, oh gosh, I have so much I want to say about that, so I am going to just take a moment, and after having gone through the whole scene, I'm going to just take a moment. Okay, so I'm repeating myself, but so what we know is that this jerk wrote the fairy tales. It made all the humans believe that witches were fundamentally evil. There was a horrific genocidal witch hunt. Hildir was in absolute emotional, like, uncomprehendable emotional agony. And shockingly, and my read on it is, shockingly, when one is in incomprehensible emotional agony, feeling each one of her brethren's death is as if it was her own, you cannot maintain the balance of dark against light with that. You just can't. Like, the whole point of the Tenebrarum Bearer is to keep the crystal in check and keep those emotions balanced with the light crystal. Because, you know, they talk about it a little bit, like, you know, it's not like the Tenebrarum is fundamentally evil. Like, you know, can't have light without shadow. Like, you know, sadness and anger and all of those, they are normal emotions that are okay to feel. And, you know, the Tenebrarum Bearer generally has to be, like, the emotional pillar, like, to maintain the balance of the crystal. So based on everything that they've described to us through world building, like, it, as I have said several times, it is my absolute and fervent belief that she very understandably could simply no longer keep the crystal in balance, and frankly stopped wanting to. And so she let it consume her, and then when the Tenebrarum consumed her, it just kind of evaporated any shreds of, like, conscience, or any shreds, basically, because the Tenebrarum is the crystal of all the dark emotions. So my theory is that it just erased all shreds of light emotion from her. So there was just no goodness left in her. Like, literally, she was consumed by the Tenebrarum. So, everything, and I think probably the moment that corresponds with her being consumed, like, now that we have a little bit more context, I think probably the moment that actually corresponds with her being consumed with the Tenebrarum via my theory, would be when she killed the first human. And it may actually have been just before that, like, when she made that decision. Like, at some point she made the decision to say, fuck it, humans must pay, I'm just letting the Tenebrarum go wild. And then the Tenebrarum erased everything that had been a shred of goodness in her, and she became what she is now. As Starmia said many times, it's the let me be evil trope. It's just in this case that I believe that her let me be evil moment was mystically enforced and permanent. In a way that a lot of people's, you know, in a way that's normally impossible, right? Because, like, most people have, like, you know, I'm not gonna say that everybody is forgivable, but, like, I believe that everybody is capable of change. Now, that said, abusers, like, who show absolutely no remorse and probably aren't going to change. Like, even if they say they are, if they keep on with the same patterns, they're not gonna. But, like, I also believe that occasionally weird things can happen to people, and even really horrible people, and make them suddenly see the light, basically, and want to change. Now, Pingu PSA Corner, no one, absolutely, someone who has been abused is never under any circumstances required to forgive their abuser, no matter how much their abuser changes or atones or anything. Like, it just, there's, you know, some things that just, you cannot make up for. But, that said, I'm very supportive of the idea that in real life, if something, you know, wild happens that makes someone's entire world outlook change, and they commit to being a better person, they should have the right to go do that somewhere else with new people, and not be, and, you know, if the people that they harmed want to forgive them, that's their call, and if they don't, they should not try to be in those people's lives anymore. but they can absolutely go on and be happy with other people. However, there are some people that are just never going to change and are fairly irredeemable. But like, you know, in real life, technically, even those people are capable of it. They're just not going to, because nothing's ever going to happen to inspire them to do so. So a lot of my theory in this comes down to, so I have a lot of opinions about psychology, I guess, basically. A lot of my opinions in this come down to Hildir actually is a literal monster, because this is a world of magic. So it is not possible for her to change at this point, because when she gave in to the Tenebrarum, that was more than just life made her cruel, she decided, let me be evil. It was, let me be evil in a way that mystically erased all traces of good in her. And so, unequivocally, Hildir is a fucking monster. And I really feel like this was just kind of an example of, you can see so many classic abuse patterns in Hildir's behavior, not just with Lucette, but like that conversation she had with Delora, where Delora is like, you killed my 10-year-old daughter, and Hildir's like, yeah, but that was really your fault. You made me do it because I needed you to understand the anguish I was in. And I'm like, Hildir is monstrous. She is both unwilling and, frankly, probably unable to feel guilt or remorse or even be willing to take the blame for any of her actions. So, like, her whole blaming the victim thing is like a very classic abuser pattern. Like, so the thing is, so I do believe that it is mystically enforced, but what it has left her as is this emotionally manipulative, like, sociopathic, monstrous person who is incapable of any goodness or any, like, positive emotion of any kind. And this leads to her displaying a lot of classic abuser tactics, and that's why I've spent a lot of time talking about, like, if someone, a parent, a partner, a friend even, is trying to isolate you and tell you that they're the only one who will ever care about you, massive red flag. That's a classic abuser tactic. Like, all of the stuff Hildir does where, like, she does a terrible thing and says, but it was your fault. Like, no. The person who did the terrible thing is the person at fault. Like, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances. Like, I was arguing with Lucette, like, while she did release her mother, I believe that there were extenuating circumstances that, but, I'm in retrospect, Tapau's right. Like, her release, like, she did take the action of releasing her mother. So her mother being alive again is her fault. Nothing her mother then did is her fault, because that is on her mother. But, oh, I'm sorry, Tapau. I got distracted. There's a lot, I needed to process through, like... Alright, so I think I have pretty thoroughly gone over all my, like, PSA corner stuff I wanted to touch on, so I'm going to briefly touch on how horrific it is for Delora, and how, in this route, it's really easy to read her as having sort of mentally adopted Lucette, because I wouldn't be surprised if Lucette is close to the age her daughter would be. And, like, I definitely have the vibe that, especially in this route, she has developed very motherly feelings for Lucette. But it almost makes me wonder if some of the ways that she's harsh on Lucette were to avoid developing motherly feelings for her, because that is, freaking trauma for her. Because, yeah, after losing a child in a, like, horrific way like that, like, I imagine she probably has some PTSD from that. Alright, yes, and, so Tapau has been pretty reliably watching the VODs, so I trust that she'll catch up before next week. And that all said, I do, I feel I was about to apologize, but I'm not going to apologize because it's my stream. I can handle it how I wanted, and I wanted to have that conversation. And so but I do feel I have now had that conversation, and I would like to finish up the chapter, so I'm going to move forward. Although, actually, hang on just one sec, because I actually want to say, Tapau is, like, at my house, so I just want to say bye. So, be right back, and then we'll jump back into the story, and I'll try to keep it through with, minimal comments through the end of this chapter.
Alright, and we are back. Alright, Lucette, thinking to herself. Parfait said to be here at midnight. Out loud. What time is it? Fritz. We're too early. Delora. Sometimes Parfait is early too. Looks like tonight is not one of those nights though. It looks like my coming early was both a blessing and a setback. Hildir. She's using the name Parfait. How sweet. Lucette. Shocked. Fritz steps in front of me as Mother reappears in front of us. Yay! CG with actual Fritz! Yay! I have missed actual Fritz. I love him so much. Fritz. Stay behind me! Lucette. Fritz! Fritz. I would never forgive myself if you got hurt. Please, stay behind me. Fritz smiles gently at me, and my chest aches at the sight. Fritz. Everything will be alright. I promise. I promise I'll protect you. Lucette. I know you will. Delora. Fritz. Lucette must make it out at all costs. Lucette, thinking to herself. I do not like the sound of that. Hildir. And you must understand why I cannot let you take my daughter away from me. Delora. Oh, you took mine? Delora's hands begin to glow. Hildir. Perhaps this time Lucette shall watch as you die, Delora. Lucette. No! Delora. Well, you can try and kill me, but your chances are slim. I have a very good knight with me, and I think he likes me more than he likes you. Hildir. That can be remedied. Mother flicks her wrist. Delora holds out her own hand as if preparing for the impact of a spell, but the magic never comes. Mother is not aiming for Delora. Fritz. Shocked. With a gasp, Fritz drops his sword and falls to his knees. Lucette. Fritz! Hildir. Come along, Varg. Fritz. I won't let you... Sorry. I went a little too low with that voice and kind of killed my throat. Alright. That's when I realize that Mother is calling for Varg. Her hand twists in the air, manipulating Fritz's body to copy its movements. His body writhes and turns as he struggles to remain himself. Hildir. Now! Lucette. No! Fritz! Fritz. Princess! I'm sorry, but I can't... Fritz looks at me one last time before the familiar darkness envelops his body. Lucette. Thinking to herself, apparently. Fritz! Or maybe it's just saying it very emphasizedly, because sometimes they do italicize for, like, yelling. So either way, Lucette. Fritz! Hildir. Now, Varg, be a good dog and get Lucette back to her room. When Varg appears, he is standing absolutely still, his eyes surveying everything calmly. There is an intensity to them, but it is sharp and contained. I flinch back from Varg's bright eyes. Lucette. No! Hildir. Varg. Varg. You were going to hurt her. Nice! That's how you lose Varg. Ah! Because Varg has reluctantly, didn't really like doing what he was told, but I think was probably partially cursed too, but like also still has a lot of Fritz's feelings and emotions, and probably was somewhat content to do all of this because, the concept was that under no circumstances was Lucette ever to be harmed, right? Like that was a rule that Mithros had, that forced all casters' hand, and then that was a rule that Hildir had, and Hildir herself would never, would not never have, obviously, but like as long as Lucette was like under her control, like she never intended to harm Lucette.
because it was more advantageous to her and it was more what she wanted for Lucette to be, like, under her thumb and believe that she loved her. But then once Lucette actually stood up for herself and was like, no, I'm not gonna fall for your tricks again, I'm not gonna do what you tell me to, and she's like, yeah, alright then, and she was about to start getting violent, and that's how you lose Varg. Like, that was the very first time Hildir had ever shown a sign that she was going to physically harm Lucette. And I mean, I know I promised I was going to try to focus on the story and not do more, like, Pingu Rambles or Pingu PSA, but this is not just a Pingu Rambles, this is a Pingu PSA. Physical harm is not the only kind of harm. Like, I see what happened here. Varg was like, you weren't ever supposed to hurt her, and now that you have actually hurt her, I'm gone. Like, I'm done with you. That's what I think is about to happen here. However, I'd like to state for the record that Hildir has been hurting Lucette this whole time. Emotional abuse is real, and also really bad. Like, you know, it can be really easy with emotional abuse to be like, oh, well, you know, they never physically harmed me, so was it really abuse? Yes. Yes, it was. In this case, for example, it was severe abuse. It was just all emotional manipulative emotional abuse. Like, abuse does not require physical hitting. And, like, I make that PSA in, like, big neon letters because I had to learn that one. Like, you know, not to get into, like, tragic backstory. It wasn't even that, like, I'm not going to minimize my own experiences, you know what? But other people have had it much worse, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have a bad experience. But, like when I was quite young, like, not quite young, but, like, when I was in college, I ended up in a bad relationship because I didn't understand that emotional abuse was abuse. And one of the things that finally helped me be done with that relationship was that person never actually succeeded at hitting me, but, like, you know, raised a hand and, like, was clearly going to, and I was like, oh, that's abuse! Oh, okay. And I'm just like, but it's because I didn't recognize that emotional abuse was abuse. And then there was a time, I spent some time trying to be like, was that even real? I mean, it wasn't that bad. And having to come to terms with, shit, no, emotional abuse is really bad. So that's one of my reasons for PSAing so much is, like, I went through this experience, and if sharing my experiences on this and my context for this kind of thing helps anyone else even a little bit, like, out there, even just some random person happens to come across my stream as I'm saying one of these things, it will be a positive change in the world that I'd want to make, you know? So yeah, big PSA. Emotional harm is harm. Like, just because Hildir had not physically raised a hand against Lucette doesn't mean she had not been causing Lucette harm. And I think Varg just never translated it that way, and so he only gets mad because Hildir was going to physically harm Lucette, but it's really important to me to strongly express that that was not the first time Hildir was going to hurt Lucette. She's been hurting Lucette the whole time. Alright, Hildir. Pardon? Varg. I don't intend to obey someone who would hurt the princess. Mother hisses in annoyance. Hildir. I do not know how you inspire such loyalty, Lucette, but it is very inconvenient. Mother flicks her wrist, and a responding light flares out from behind her. Mithros. My queen. Delora. Great. Reinforcements. Hildir. I order you to restrain your pet, Mithros. Mithros. At once, my queen. Mithros extends his hand towards Varg, and the minute he does, Varg's body stiffens and he grits his teeth. Mithros. I always make sure to have control over any of my creations. Delora. This is not going as planned. Lucette. You had a plan? Hildir. Now, my darling. My hands shake, and Neverland nearly tumbles from my hands as I struggle not to collapse. Hildir. Since you have become so tainted by the thoughts these people have put in your head, I shall have to start all over again. don't be afraid. Cleansing your memories will not hurt. Also, this is just a magically enforced version of gaslighting. This is fundamentally what gaslighting is about, is like making people doubt their own sense of reality. It's just that she can magically enforce it and be like, nope, not only am I going to like twist things around to make you doubt reality and believe my version instead, I'm going to literally erase your memories. So, and then tell you new things. Messed up. Hildur. But don't be afraid. Cleansing your memories will not hurt. And when you wake, you will be my daughter again, my dearest one. Mother reaches out her hand towards me. Every fiber of my being screams at me to move, but my feet are heavy, and I am shaking so hard I cannot stand straight. Lucette. I do not want to forget anything or anyone anymore. Behind me, the clock tower begins to chime. Delora. Not on my watch. Delora quickly runs in front of me and casts a protective shield. Lucette. Delora, you can't! Delora. I will not let her erase any of your memories, Lucette. I brace myself for impact, and I feel the ground shudder as Mother's spell comes in contact with Delora's shield. A loud crack emanates from Delora's shield as it begins to crack. Delora. An offensive spell? You're going to kill your own dog. Delora's words fade when we see another spell coming towards us. I hear a low laugh rise from Mother's throat. Hildur. Goodbye, Delora. Delora. Lucette, run! Lucette. Delora! I cough as clouds of smoke slowly fade away after the impact. Oof. Maybe we are getting 2 deaths this run. Oof. I know I literally said Delora was the death I was going to be the maddest about. That still stands. I'm mad. If Delora dies here, I am not gonna like it. But let's move on. Or let's keep going anyway. My whole body feels as hollow as ice as I gaze at the sight before me. Delora's body lies on the floor in front of me, unmoving. I collapse to the ground, my vision blurry as I stare numbly at Delora's limp figure. Lucette, thinking to herself, No! This cannot be! I reach out to touch her and sharply inhale when I feel how cold and clammy her skin is. Lucette. No! Delora! Hildur. Always conjure another shield after being hit by a powerful spell. Have you forgotten your lessons, traitor? Now she can finally reunite with her daughter. Neverland tumbles from my grasp as I grab Delora's arm to shake her. Lucette. No, Delora, please! Thinking to herself. She's still breathing. She can be saved. She cannot die like this. A bright light appears before me, and suddenly Parfait is standing right in front of me. Parfait. Hildur, what have you done? Hildur. Faye, it's been a while. Parfait addresses me without looking back. Parfait. Princess, do you have Neverland? Lucette. Yes. I reach blindly for Neverland with one hand as I keep the other on Delora's arm. A warm hand settles on my shoulder. The touch is comforting and familiar. Parfait. Have faith, Princess. Mithros. I will not allow you to leave, fairy. Mithros casts his magic, but Parfait easily deflects it. She moves to cast a spell in retaliation, but doubles over as soon as the spell flares out around her. Parfait. Ah! That was a little off, but I think it's supposed to be a pained grunt, like, oh. Hildur. You are fading, Faye. The Lucis itself is fading with you. My eyes lock with Varg's, and for a moment I can see Fritz through him. I see his lips move, but whatever words he speaks to me are mute. He shakes his head. Light begins to engulf me, and I see nothing apart from Delora's pale face on my lap. I do not move, even when the Marchand walls come into existence around me. The place is devoid of its usual warmth. Lucette. Delora! Thinking to herself. She is not responding. I fight down the rising grief and try to remain calm as I turn to Parfait. Lucette. Please, save her! Parfait. Silence. Lucette. Save her! Parfait glances down at Delora, eyes glassy. It is as if she is hiding emotions behind a frigid mask. I feel that her mask is a reflection of my own. Any moment now it will fall away and I will be able to see her tears. Parfait. Princess. The spell that Hildir used was a powerful one. There's nothing I can do. The air in the Marchand seems to leave all at once. Lucette. No, that's not true! You have to! Delora. Lucette. Delora? She does not move, and her eyes are still closed as she speaks. Delora. Lucette. I'm sorry, but I can't stay. Lucette. No, don't say that! Delora. I've been lucky. Hildir took my Lorea, but I got you in return. I like to think that my daughter would have grown up to be someone like you. Lucette. Delora! Delora. I believe in you, Lucette. I have always believed in you. Lucette. You cannot leave, Delora! I won't let you leave! Though Delora's body does not move, I can feel the energy of her body slip through my fingers like sand. Her body slowly begins to fade away until only specks of glimmering golden dust remain. A terrible, prickling cold seeps into my heart and chest. Then the frigidness envelops my whole body. I cannot breathe. It is only when a teary-eyed Parfait pulls me into a hug that I realize that my throat is raw and that I have been screaming in grief. Alright then. Another tear-jerking chapter. I do not remember being tucked into bed. In the silence of the dark night, I can feel the absence of Delora like a hole in my chest. Sleepless hours tick by in a haze until the morning sun creeps through the window. Parfait. Lucette, you didn't get any sleep, did you? I shake my head. Parfait. I wish I could give you time to grieve. Lucette. She died protecting me. I cover my face with my hands, and hot tears that I thought had dried begin pouring from my eyes again. Lucette. Both of them, Garland and Delora, died because of me. This is my fault. If only I was strong enough, I could have... Parfait. No, princess. If it is anyone's fault, it is mine. Lucette, thinking to herself. Both Delora and Parfait keep owning up to this blame, but do either of them deserve any of it? Sorry to break the emotional resonance, so I will only do it briefly. They do deserve some of it. That's all I'll say. We can get into that at another time that is less emotionally charged. Parfait. Your mother and I were like sisters once. I couldn't bring myself to hurt her. Because of that, I didn't act in time to save her from the Tenebrarum's corruption. If you are seeking to blame anyone, blame me. I am responsible for all of this needless pain, all because I could not stop Hildir. I was too afraid, and now I'm too weak. Lucette. But what could you have done? Mother is... I don't think anything can stop Mother. Parfait. The Lucis and the Tenebrarum are inextricably linked to each other and to their bearers. The Crystallum cannot exist without each other. If one is destroyed, so is the other. Lucette. Shocked. Oh shit. This is one of the moments that made you... Okay, sorry, catching up on Ice Stormy. Delora's death was really painful, even if she was a bit too harsh on Lucette sometimes. I know she cared for Lucette, and she was one of my favorite characters. Yeah, Ice Stormy, I feel very similarly. I love Delora as a character, and, like... Other than some frustrations with the early chapters of her being a little disproportionately harsh, I think she's a great character. And this hit hard. Oof. But Stormy, I'd be interested to hear more about what about this made you dislike Faye, because I mean, Faye is frankly bears more culpability for this than just not stopping Hildir, but like not stopping Hildir. Oh, yep, okay, so exactly what I was thinking. Stormy. She talks as if not stopping Hildir soon enough was her greatest mistake, but she made an even greater mistake regarding the fairy tales. Yeah, I'm like, you're sitting there being like, I couldn't stop her, I was too passive, and I'm like, you're right. You should have stepped in to stop Hildir when it was clear that things were starting to go off the rails. You could have prevented losing your best friend to the Crystal of Dark Feelings, and you did not. You just kind of avoided responsibility and did nothing, and that's pretty shitty. But yes, also, you did not take action to prevent the entire tragedy when you could have. And like, maybe hindsight is 20/20, but like, if you're gonna say this about not stopping her sooner, then you should say this about not having done something to curb the influence of the fairy tales. Well, anyway, so yes, Stormy, I agree. Like, Parfait is failing to take culpability for one of her two greatest mistakes. And, like, she is taking culpability for the other one, and that's good, but... yeah, anyway, so... Lucette, shocked. Whoa. Oh, shit, right, and then she just, okay, so now moving... Yeah, so Parfait... Now, on the other hand, I will give her credit, because she is hella taking action in this route. Like, I'm pretty sure I know what she means when she says the Crystallum cannot exist without each other. If one is destroyed, so is the other. I wonder if destroying the crystals will make all the fairies and witches... Ooh, I hope it doesn't make them all disappear. Hopefully it just makes them human. Takes away the magic. But I just did have this horrible secondary thought. I'm pretty sure Parfait would not be suggesting destroying the one crystal to destroy the other, which is what I think she's suggesting, if she knew that was also going to just destroy all fairies and witches, because that's a little drastic. But it sounds like she's sacrificing herself to stop Hildir, and that's a reasonable call at this stage, honestly. Parfait. The Crystallum cannot exist without each other. If one is destroyed, so is the other. Lucette, shocked. What are you saying? Parfait. We can stop Hildir if we destroy the Lucis. That would destroy the Tenebrarum as well. Lucette. Parfait, that's insane! Parfait. This world has suffered from magic for 3 centuries. Maybe it is more bad than good. Perhaps the only solution is to remove the source of it forever. Lucette. But Mother only survived because she was the Tenebrarum bearer. She lives so long as the Tenebrarum exists. If the Tenebrarum is destroyed... Parfait. Hildir should die. Lucette. But you're suggesting we destroy the Tenebrarum through destroying the Lucis? Parfait smiles at me, but I find no comfort in it. Parfait. I will only say it's my time. Lucette. You cannot be serious! There has to be another way. There has already been so much suffering. Delora and Garland did not die, so you would have to give up your life as well. Parfait. I'm not saying we make a decision now. After what happened with Varg, I have strengthened the Marchen's defenses and added a glamour. For now, we are safe here. Breakfast will be ready soon. Join us when you're able. The others will need to know what happened last night. Lucette, thinking to herself. There must be another way to stop Mother. There has to be. Yeah, like, regardless of Parfait's sins, like, at this point, Lucette is like, I already lost 1 replacement mother figure. You're the next best. Okay, I've already lost 2 replacement mother. Like, I've lost any possibility of being emotionally connected to my actual mother. I have lost my replacement mother figure, and you are the next best thing I've got, Parfait. Don't go away too. Is I think where Lucette is at right now.
By the time I make it to the dining area, the food is cold. I'm not surprised by the state of the food, but seeing Waltz in a grown-up body is definitely shocking. Waltz. Oh! Princess! Waltz quickly makes his way over to me and kneels down. He looks almost like a knight, though he is lacking the armor. Waltz. Thank you for breaking my curse. Lucette, thinking to herself. At least I was able to do something good, but still. Waltz. Princess? I do not notice the tears rolling down my cheeks until he calls my title softly. Rumple. Oh, what's this? Waltz the Big has made the princess cry? Waltz. Silence. Lucette. No, it isn't Waltz. Lucette, thinking to herself. Delora believed I could accomplish 3 good deeds, and yet I... Karma. You like hot chocolate, right, darling? Rumble. I'll get the mugs. Gently, Waltz leads me to a bench and sits next to me. Parfait hasn't told them what happened to Delora yet. All of them are smiling at me, trying to cheer me up, but how can I possibly smile now? Lucette. I need to tell you all something. Karma. Hot chocolate first, talking later. You look pale, like you didn't sleep at all last night. And have you even eaten recently? Lucette, thinking to herself. Now that I think about it... Out loud. No, I haven't. Rod, who I hadn't even realized was back at the March End, stiffly stands up from his chair and walks away. Lucette, thinking to herself. He was here this whole time, just listening quietly in the corner. Out loud. Did I say something wrong? Waltz smiles at me as he pats my shoulder. Waltz. We've seen Annis off to look after Jurian, so it's just us at the March End. Rod's been taking care of meals, so he's probably going to get you something to eat. Lucette. But why? Thinking to herself. Rod has never liked me. Karma. You saved his family from VOD, Princess. I doubt he minds cracking a few eggs for you. Rod comes back into the room and places utensils and a plate in front of me. It is filled with toast and scrambled eggs. Rod. I know it's not much, but you need to eat. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have no appetite, but he is right. I pick up my fork and stab a few eggs to try. Lucette, thinking to herself. This is good. Out loud. Thank you. Rod. No problem. Oh, yeah, Ice Starmie, like you were saying, Rod is good in this route too. Or there are some good Rod moments. I love this Lucette Rod moment here. Fritz has the best Rod outside of Rod's own room. Yep. Yeah, no, this is sweet of him. Rod. No problem. Suddenly, I'm incredibly aware of how famished I am. I shovel the rest of the food into my mouth eagerly. I'm eating the last remnants of my toast when Rumple comes back into the room holding far too many mugs for one person to manage. Rumple. And now I present to you hot chocolate a la Rumple. Waltz jumps up to save the several mugs from Rumple's precarious hold. Parfait. Ah, hot chocolate. How lovely. Rumple. I knew this would happen, so I made plenty. Waltz and Rumple place the mugs on the table. Rumple counts all of them. Rumple. 5, 6, wait. Where is Lady Delora? The fork I am holding clatters to the plate. It is the only sound in the suddenly quiet room. Parfait. Silence. Delora passed away last night. Rumple. What? The atmosphere shifts. Everyone is openly frowning, their eyes filled with regret. Karma. Hey, excuse you! Rude! It was not Fritz's fault! Karma. So the night ended up being a turncoat after all.
Lucette. Fritz had nothing to do with it. Fritz helped Delora get to me just when Mother was going to take Neverland. We would have all made it out alive if Mother hadn't used her magic to summon Varg. Mother was going to erase all my memories again, and I did not know what to do, so I just stood there. Thinking to herself, it was just like what happened with Garland. Out loud. And now Delora is dead because of me. I cover my face with my hands as a too familiar grief bubbles up inside of me. Parfait. Delora made a choice to protect you, Lucette, just like Garland made his choice to protect Jurian. The only thing we can do now is make sure their sacrifices weren't in vain. Lucette. Silence. Waltz. Here. Waltz gently pushes a mug towards me. Waltz. If there's one thing Delora taught us, it's that hot chocolate makes almost everything better. I stare at the mug and remember the last time I had hot chocolate with Delora. I would never have thought the drink I shared with her so many days ago would be the last. I bite my lip to keep myself from crying. Rod. So, what do we do now? Parfait. The plan hasn't changed. We still need to stop Hildir and save the king. Karma. But how is the question? Waltz's voice is quiet. Waltz. Lady Parfait. Lucette, thinking to herself. Does he know what Parfait plans to do? Parfait. You know as well as I do that there's only one way now, Waltz. Parfait quickly explains what she'd told me about destroying the Lucis to destroy the Tenebrarum. Rumple. But if we do so by destroying the Lucis, you will die. I refuse to let that happen, Lady Parfait. Karma. Delora sacrificed her life to have Princess Lucette bring back Neverland, and now you're telling us that was useless and there is no other way? Parfait. If any of you have an alternative, please tell us. I don't want to lose any more of you over my mistake. Lucette. But we cannot lose you either. I have a suggestion. Aw, that's true with Rod and Lucette. Look at their smiles, they're cute together even in other rooms. Yeah, nice Starmie. And I like the idea that even without the romance angle, they can become friends. Like, this definitely gives me, like, good feelings about once this is all over and then the king is back, hopefully back to normal, and then Ophelia and Rod and Emmeline all move back into the palace, and, like, Lucette can build a real friendship with both Rod and Emmeline. Alright, Waltz. Let me get this straight. Lady Parfait is going to act as bait to lure Hildir out of the palace and to the gates. And the rest of us will help distract her long enough so you can get to your father. Lucette. Once the king is safely at the Marchen, Mother cannot use him as a bargaining chip anymore. After that, we will have nothing left to lose. We will be able to go all out against Mother. The efforts we spared in bringing back Neverland will not go to waste. Waltz will use his magic to give us the upper hand. Though, to be honest, I would still like to try and reason with her one last time. Parfait. Princess, Hildir cannot be... Lucette. I cannot accept that your death is the only thing that will achieve our goal in stopping Mother. You know what? I know I just spent a whole long time earlier in this stream talking about how I think Hildir's good emotions have been totally eaten by the Tenebrarum and there's no hope of her getting them back, but maybe this route will prove me wrong. Like, maybe instead of destroying the Lucis, it will be like, here, we are going to imbue you with as much Lucis as you were imbued Tenebrarum, and you will collapse from sheer guilt, I guess. Lucette, you told me before that Mother was a kind person. If I could somehow reach out to who she used to be, then perhaps it is possible that we could end this without any additional bloodshed. Everyone turns silent, their faces grim. Lucette, I know this is not the best and most concrete plan, but please let me try it. I want to hope that the person my mother used to be is still there. This is my fight as well. I need to do something. The least I can do is save my father, and stop Mother without Parfait needing to sacrifice herself.
It will be dangerous, but I beseech all of you. Please, help me. Parfait. Silence. I want to believe that my old friend is still in there as well. Okay, let's do this. Oof, alright, so today was a heck of a chapter and ended up being, like, much longer than usual because probably largely because I spent so long, like, stopping to chat, but I kind of needed that, to be honest. Like, there was a lot this chapter, and, like, having so, and, you know, I also like chatting and like, hope that some of my insights are interesting or even useful to some people. And yeah, so I did really, you know, despite how tragic it was, on the whole, I really enjoyed this chapter. I thought it would, like, I feel like Fritz's route is, you know, definitely the most emotionally intense thus far, but I also think it's, like, really intriguing and interesting. And, like, I am upset that Delora died, but, like, I'm not, like, okay, and now I'm gonna rage quit the game. I'm not, like, angry at the game. I'm angry at, like, the situation in that plot. If that makes sense. So, but yeah, no, so alright, we're going to be seeing how this all goes down in the final actual final chapter, which should be next week. So yeah, and then I might stream this Wednesday, and I should be definitely back to my usual Friday schedule, and so hope to see some folks there. Thank you to Johnny and to Pau and Ice Army for hanging out and chatting and listening, and thank you to anyone else who might have been lurking. Thank you to anyone who watches this later. Hope you brought some tissues. Oh, that Ice Army, that's fair. I think this chapter was really a bit longer than usual, and yes, it had more to talk about, so it's only natural that you talked a lot with everything that happened. That's yeah, Ice Army, thank you for the validation. I agree. Like, just this chapter was a lot. Like, the most a lot that any chapter has thus far been. And yeah, I think you might be right, this was also just a longer chapter, so certainly longer than last week's. So yeah, and you know, as always, Ice Army, I appreciate you being here and hanging out and chatting, and like to Pau, I know you'll be watching this, like, the last bit of this later, so thank you also for watching and hanging out and chatting. And you know, for going to TwitchCon with me, etc. So yeah, I decided I want to try and get a little more, I don't know, I am a little not paranoid, but like, I definitely have some complicated, like, thoughts around the process of rating, and I do want to get more in the habit, but I think maybe I will do that. I will start on that in my next stream, because I feel like it's a little harder with Cinderella. Unless I find someone, you know what, I'll do a very quick check and see if there is anyone who is specifically playing Cinderella Phenomenon, because that could be really fun, but if there is not, because not a lot of people play it on Steam, then yeah, no, it's just me. All right, but that's a thought. Like, now I'll try to do that for the Cinderella Phenomenon streams. Just take a look, and if someone else happens to be playing it, like, we can go and raid them, and otherwise we'll just say goodnight. So, or good evening for me, anyway. So, bye everyone. Hope to see folks either next week or later this week or whenever folks might be available to drop in.